typically when you think about productized services, you think about going from a service to a product. I think there's a phenomenal opportunity right now to go from a product to a productized service.
Hey everybody, Roland, Frasier, and Ryan Deiss here with another episode of Business Lunch. And today, Ryan has all kinds of fun things that we've been talking about. Ryan, what do you want to knock out here first today?
So I'm really excited about this new concept, and I want to get your take on it because I can't tell if it's a big deal or if I'm just making too big a deal out of nothing. I'll let you decide. Okay. But have you heard of this concept called productized services?
I have.
So when I say productized services, what does that mean to you?
So to me, it means that it's very different. We actually talk about this a lot, so we'll see if it's the same thing. But really, one of the big challenges that service-based businesses have is their ability to scale. And that comes generally as a result of trying to create a bespoke, customized solution for every single client that comes in based on what they need, as opposed to creating a product that is the service. In other words, a standardized set of services with standardized times for completion and standardized costs that meet the majority of the client's needs who come to you. That affords two things. One is it affords the ability to scale because you can educate and have SOPs, standard operating procedures, for how any person who comes into the business as an employee can execute the things that the company sells without having to have specialized company knowledge, tribal knowledge, or anything else. And it also generally makes it more efficient because you're meeting the needs of 80% of the customers as opposed to trying to meet the needs of 100%, where 20% are 80% of the extra effort. So really, to me, it's a smart way to be able to create a scalable service-based business. And it also creates then upsells that you can or cannot offer depending on the level of capacity that you have available. Because if you basically say, this is our productized service suite of, let's say, digital marketing services, then we do all of these things for you. And you say, but I also want this, or I wish this was that, and it works with businesses as well. Let's say that you're manufacturing, even for services related to goods, you're manufacturing window frames and door frames, and you make the 7 standard sizes, but you've got customers that come in and say, well, I need a big bay one that's like this, and I need one that's this, and I have a tiny house and I want that. You can say no to those people because they don't meet the productized services, or you can say, we've got capacity right now, and therefore we're okay with an upsell. That's kind of my take on it.
Yeah, and I think that's a good general breakdown and understanding, and mine as well. Like when I thought about this and this isn't a new concept. And so if you're hearing me talk about this and you're saying like, yeah, I've heard about this before, you're probably right. I think I've got a slightly different tweak on it. And the reason I want to bring this up is because at the Scalable company, we just had a massive breakthrough on this concept, coming at it approaching it from a slightly different direction. So I think that this is going to apply to you if you're in a services business right now that can't scale. Then this discussion I think is going to apply to you. If you're an investor, if you do acquisitions, I think it applies to you because there's lots of opportunities to acquire unscalable, inefficient service-based businesses and convert them into a productized service. But I think there's also a phenomenal opportunity here for people who are in the media business, publishing, course sales, coaching, mastermind, like a lot of those folks who've been selling IP. I think there's an opportunity here for you as well. So I'll kind of like just back up the truck a little bit and talk about what we did at Scalable Company, because I think, and I know you know this, but for our listeners, I think it'll be
let me
helpful.
frame one more thing, just so if you have a company that does not fall into those categories that Ryan just mentioned, really there are tremendous opportunities with any physical products, brick or mortar, wholesaling, manufacturing business to add on things like this. So bear with us and listen, and then we'll try to tie all that back together as to how those things can be beneficial to add on to the products and services that you've already got.
Yeah, and to your point, and the point about this being nothing new, to a large extent, any fast food restaurant is like McDonald's was a productized service of just going to a general restaurant or heck, cooking at home, right? Or hiring a chef to come and cook for you. And so this idea of let's take something that was a traditional service and productize it, nothing new. There's been companies that have been doing this in the design space forever, like Design Pickle, for example, is one of those companies where there's traditional design shops, but they basically productized it. I'm seeing a lot right now in the video space.
Yep.
Like, video editors that previously would have said, we'll edit any video. And now they're basically saying, we'll take your videos and cut them up into shorts.
Yeah.
Short form kind of things. So, we're seeing that. There's even this company out of, they're in Santorini, Greece. Mm-hmm. You should look up, it's called Flying Dress Photo.
Nice.
And it's a photographer. But the only thing they do, like what they advertise on this site, is we're going to do this like amazing flying dress photo shoot overlooking like
the caldera.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we had a friend who went and did this recently, a former employee of ours that went and did this recently. And yeah, what are they? They're a photography studio, but they're productizing this one particular service that everybody wanted. And to your point, if you go the productized service route, you could either say, this is the only thing we're going to do now, right? We're not going to do any bespoke. We're not going to do any custom. We are only going to do this one thing. Or this one thing could be kind of a separate brand that's a lead into your higher ticket, higher end, more bespoke.
Yeah, and I think for bigger companies, if you've got a department, this works too, because if you're talking about efficiencies interdepartmentally, then if you've got a media buying component of your business or a content creation or any of the services that are provided, even accounting, you can do the same thing. You can productize the services, potentially use this as an expense to profit conversion to add additional profit centers. But even if not, simply to get more efficient and say, this is basically what our company needs from this department. And how can we productize those services so that it's available to everyone in the most efficient and effective way? So lots of applications that I don't see a lot of people talking about. So I love it that we're talking about it. Okay.
Yeah,
What's the breakthrough?
We've got a friend and a client that he's an attorney, couple legal, partners that in a law firm, but their brand is all around crowdfunding.
Yep.
And so yes, right now is probably a good moment to pause if you have any type of service offering and say, is there an element we could splinter off and productize? Because not only do you get far greater efficiencies because you can build SOPs around it, you're not doing proposals, there's no customization. People can literally just go and buy it. Conversion rates are typically higher, sales cycles are typically shorter. Like for every reason you should do this. But here's what we just did, kind of because I've known about this, but I never really thought it applied to a lot of the businesses that we're in, because a lot of the business, we're not in a lot of services-based businesses that are bespoke. Like we have traditionally avoided those for all the reasons we just talked about.
Yeah.
But what we do have are a fair number of publishing companies where we might publish courses, or trainings, or we might have a consulting company, or a coaching company. And in the past, that's pretty high leverage, right? It already has been productized. And so typically when you think about productized services, you think about going from a service to a product. I think there's a phenomenal opportunity right now to go from a product to a productized service. And I think this is a piece that a lot of folks are missing. And certainly we were missing it at the Scalable Company. So if you don't know, at the Scalable Company, kind of the main thing that we do is we help business owners install operating systems so their businesses can scale, they can exit the day-to-day, they can ultimately sell the business if they want to. And there's lots of other components that go into that, with more general coaching and things like that. But it really does center around let us help you systemize, operationalize, install this operating system in your business. And we've got books, we've got courses, we've got coaching programs. And over the years, those have all sold, pretty well to varying degrees. But I wouldn't say it ever just hit it out of the park. And the thing that we asked our people is, what do you really want? What's something that we're not currently offering that you wish we were? And what we heard time and time and time again is, I wish somebody could just build this out for me. And we said, no way. We don't want to be in the services space. We don't want to do bespoke services or anything like that. We just want we want to do the high leverage thing. We want to do the one to many. We want to have the courses and the cohort-based programs. And what we realized is we should just maybe give the people what they want. They're asking for.
Who does that?
Crazy idea, right? And what we further realized, and again, this is probably going to sound painfully obvious to 80, 90% of the people listening. And yet, as obvious as it seems, we weren't doing it. And that tells me that plenty of other people aren't doing it either.